Alzheimer is the sixth leading cause of death in the U.S. and the only disease among the top 10 causes of death in America that cannot be slowed down, it cannot be prevented or cured. So here to educate us is journalist, activist, my dear friend Maria Shriver, and brain scientist from USC Stevens Neuroimaging and Informatics Institute, Dr. Judy Pa. Welcome.
Welcome.
Nice to have you here.
You've been on the forefront of this for so long, advocating for so much awareness and whatnot. Yeah. It starts really because it hit so close to home for you.
Yeah, my dad was diagnosed in 2003. He died in 2011. And so I started just asking questions. I'm a journalist, so I wanted to know why. And that led me to, understanding that it disproportionately affects women, and why wasn't there more research as to why that is and what we could do about it, which led me to the event that we're doing on May 21st.
Well, this has become more of a public health concern as of lately, and we have
it's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
We have a graphic here, and can you explain to us what we're looking at when we put up this graphic?
Okay.
What can we conclude from this?
Okay, we could conclude that we're in trouble.
Yes. Yeah.
What we can conclude from this is that, that obviously if you look at the deaths that are attributed to Alzheimer's, people get Alzheimer's, a new brain develops it every 66 seconds. Every 66 seconds. 2/3 of those brains belong to women. Why is that? We don't know. That's the purpose. We want to get some money into gender-based research, find out the answers. There's people like Judy who've been on the forefront researching this. The event will bring together researchers like Judy, connect meditation, food, sleep, caregiving, because it's really, we need a holistic approach to this incredible, what I call mind-blowing disease.
Yeah. Is there a lot of misconception about what this is, Alzheimer's?
I think so. I mean, people think it's a natural part of aging, and it's not. Judy, don't you think that people think, oh, it's just something that happens to people in their 80s or 90s?
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of times when they see their parents start to age and start to have these forgetful moments, they think, oh, that's just aging, that's a part of aging. But in fact, we know that while Alzheimer's disease is a disease of aging, it's a spectrum. Not everybody will go on to develop dementia. A lot of times, due to longevity, we're seeing that more and more. But typically, people may pass before they develop those diseases.
Yeah. Well, what is considered like normal aging?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we're actually in a whole new era where people now know how to keep their bodies healthy, but they don't know what is normal aging and what is wellness when it comes to brain health. So one of the things that we're trying to really focus on is that what's good for your body is good for your brain. To start thinking about that in your 40s and 50s. Don't wait to think about that until you're in your late 60s or 70s. And I think we need a whole kind of mind shift in this country. How do we care for people as they age? How do we want to age? What does aging well look like and feel like?
To me, it is alarming how this seems to be focused more on women. Mm-hmm. And are there any indicators at all, whether is it because does lifestyle changes, that women are caregivers, that there's more on their minds? Is there anything?
Yeah, well, we know that Alzheimer's disease is a multifactorial disease. There's a lot of factors that really go into and contribute to one's risk. We don't know exactly why yet, and that's why this research is so important, why women are at greater risk. It's a 2-to-1 ratio.
That's
2/3 of the women
Yeah.
in the U.S. with Alzheimer's disease compared to 1/3 for men. And you hit upon some of those points. Caregiving is a risk factor.
Why is that?
The additional levels of stress of caring for another.
But I think it's
one.
also really important, as Judy said, to look at, women in their 60s and 70s who are being diagnosed. A woman in her early 60s, twice as likely to get Alzheimer's in her lifetime than breast cancer. If we know that Alzheimer's exists in our brain for 20 years before we actually are aware of it.
How do we know
what's
that if it
happening in a woman's life when she's in her 50s, her late 40s? I'm not a researcher, but I got to think it somehow could be connected to perimenopause, menopause, hormones, sugar, type 2 diabetes, depression. These are all linked.
Look, part of the research, as you said, is just asking the questions until we start.
Well, it's also funding the incredible researchers and doctors who are in this space and giving them as much as we've got and saying, go for it, come back with the answers.
How does the brain work with the body? Because I understand that's a really important component.
Or not, in some cases.
Because it's something that goes together, your brain and your body.
Yeah, it's really what is good for the body is good for the brain. We need to start thinking about modifiable lifestyle factors like exercise, as exercise is medicine.
What are you talking about exercise? 15 minutes a day? Do you have to sweat? What do you have to do to get oxygen to your brain?
Yes, and so there's a lot of research being done right now as to the frequency of exercise, the duration for a day, the intensity of exercise. Is light walking down the street okay, as opposed to more moderate, vigorous levels of aerobic exercise?
What are you finding?
We're finding that, generally speaking, the more vigorous, at least to a moderate level, to even to higher levels of vigor activity, are beneficial, more beneficial than a light stroll down the street. Currently, the Surgeon General recommendation for exercise is 150 minutes a week. How you go about getting that, there's a lot of leeway there, but if you can at least hit that minimum, it seems to be beneficial.
That's just one of the preventatives, though.
That's
we're
right.
talking about.
I mean, moving. That's why it's called Move for Minds. Let's move, get your body moving. So if you can do vigorous exercise, that's great. If all you can do is walk, cool. That's okay, just move. Meditation, it helps the brain. The brain needs to rest.